Okay, so I just want to say welcome to everybody for attending this event today. We'll keep it short. I think it's about maybe 30 minutes. And what it is, we're taking part in UCC Community Week, which offers a week-long program of events which celebrates UCC as a civilly engaged university. UCC maintains a panel of approved coaches, and we're delighted to provide our coaching offering in support and recognition of the importance of community and the deep relationship between the higher education and community sectors. And that's why we're here today. So what we are offering today to you all is a free professional coaching to 21 people or individuals from the community. So there will be a form for you to complete. It'll be embedded on the Community Week website, and Liz will put it up as well in the chat section towards the end of this session. So we invite you to fill that in, and 21 people then will avail of coaching. You can have 3 sessions of 1 hour duration, which is we're delighted to be given that offering to the people in the community outside the walls of our beautiful campus here in UCC. So early in the year, we ran a lunchtime session to the staff in UCC entitled Losing the Plot, Unlock Your Potential to Maximize Your Performance. And we're going to run this now to give you a flavor of what coaching is and how it can help you with lots of different situations that you encounter in your work and your life. So as Liz said at the beginning, we're going to record this session, and the recording will be put up on the Community Week website. So we're happy for you to push that out to any others in the community that you would like to share it with as well. So Liz, if you'll run the recording for us, please. Thank you.
No bother. Thanks.
Thanks.
Now, hopefully this will work.
We want this workshop to illustrate how coaching can help you with issues that might be coming up for you at this time. And they could be around creating boundaries, setting your priorities or your intentions for the day, identifying challenges and naming them, or even just finding time for yourself in this crazy new world. We see coaching as a positive thing, and by that I mean coaching is forward-looking and solution-focused. It allows you to create space to think. It challenges beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors, and facilitates self-discovery. So next slide, Liz, please. The 2 theoretical descriptions that I've selected demonstrates that in a very practical way. Bird and Gornal state that coaching is a practical strategy that helps someone achieve outcomes they identify themselves. And Julie Starr states, the person being coached gains increased clarity regarding a situation or topic, which enables them to make progress in some way. So both are forward-looking and solution-focused on topics that you identify yourselves. So say, for example, you have an issue meeting multiple competing deadlines, or your expectations of yourself are unrealistic and you've become overwhelmed, then coaching could be a good option for you to help you to refocus, strategize, make a plan, and move forward. So my fellow coaches who are here with me today are going to go through some coaching approaches just to give you a better flavour of what coaching is all about. So Derval O'Callaghan is going to talk to you about picking your priorities. Germanics is all about life as a roller coaster, and he's using one particular model called Sprint. And Noreen Dede, hopefully Noreen's there now, is going to go through one powerful tool, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy, and then back to me to take the plunge. So now I'll hand over to Derval.
Thank you very much, Lorraine, and it's wonderful to see, well, not see, but know all our colleagues are here today, and hopefully you're going to find this quite useful. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about picking your priorities, and I think it's something that we've all recognised in current times where the lines have blurred between home and work, that prioritising our time can be challenging. So I like this quote from John Maxwell, which says, we choose our life by how we spend our time, and to change your life, you need to change your priorities. Now, we're not suggesting that everyone has to change their life, but there might be elements of your life. And I think Lorraine identified those quite well. It might be a little goal that you set yourself around health and wellness, or it might be that, you know, your days are just too busy, meeting fatigue, a constant sense that you're trying to catch up with yourself. So what I wanted to do is talk to you a little bit about how we prioritize our time, and maybe some tools that might help you. So if we could go to the next slide, please, Liz. So Stephen Covey came up with this lovely quadrant, and I think it's really, really effective in showing you how we spend our time. And I liked my little image of the to-do list, everything. If you're like me, sometimes you can feel like everything seems to have the same level of priority, the same level of importance. So this tool, this 4 quadrants, is a nice way of starting to bring awareness around how you're spending your time, and maybe thinking about, could I spend it more effectively, and what quadrants will work well for me, and maybe what quadrants aren't so effective. So I just want to break it down a little bit. So we've got, obviously, as you can see, the urgent, important, not urgent, but important, urgent, not important, and not urgent and not important. And just to give you ideas, for everyone, what you put in these quadrants will be different, but just here are some sample ideas of things that people spend our time, we spend our time with, that might be relevant for the different quadrants. So a lot of us, and I think certainly in the pandemic, are spending a good bit of time in quadrant 1, which is everything seems very urgent and everything seems very important, and there's deadlines and new reports required and a new outline for the government. Everything's changed again, and you know, we're really in crisis management mode a lot of the time. But equally, quadrant 2 maybe isn't getting as much attention. And Stephen Covey says if we only spend about 10% of our time in quadrant 2, but to be really effective and to really manage our priorities, we need to be spending a lot more time there. And that is the planning, the relationship building, the, you know, the kind of long-term prioritizing, the visioning of what you want to achieve in your life. So by moving a little bit more of our attention towards quadrant 2, even though it's not urgent, it's very important to kind of improve your effectiveness in terms of priorities. Equally, and some of us can be guilty of this too, and I hope you're thinking about this in terms of how you spend your day as I'm talking through it, we might spend a bit of time in, particularly quadrant 4, the busy work, you know, the things that don't involve a lot of maybe headspace, but can kind of keep us going, which is maybe email filing, or, you know, literal filing, or maybe managing, sorting, washing at home, or, you know, doing kind of little tasks at home that aren't taking a lot of our energy, but actually maybe are taking our time away and our attention away from those other activities that might solve a bit of our stress management if we dealt with them. So we long finger maybe the things that in quadrant 2 that don't give us that instant gratification, but actually if we do them, will reduce our stress level and keep us out of that quadrant 1 and that constant level of stress that we all want to avoid. And equally, and I think quadrant 3 is something we might all be experiencing a little bit as well in COVID times, is that there's lots of meetings going on. Maybe before, when we were all on campus, we could have conversations. Now everything has to be scheduled, everything has to be a meeting. And again, starting to reflect back on that, and do I need to be attending all these meetings? Could I simply look at the minutes of some of them and think about how I'm prioritizing my day in a little bit more efficient manner? And equally, maybe I'm going to turn off the notifications on my email so that I don't respond. You know, maybe I'll set aside an hour a day for just email correspondence and leave the rest of my day to prioritizing some stuff in quadrant 2 and quadrant 1. And if we do that, Liz, if we could go to the next slide, we start to see some of the results. So obviously we've discussed it. If we stay in quadrant 1, which some of you maybe are feeling, and that might be why you're here today, we get stressed, we get burnout, and it's not sustainable in the long term. And that's not what any of us want for each other. So we want to see how we can manage that a little bit better. So really starting to think and focus, how could I bring more of my priority into quadrant 2? How could I bring some balance to my work life, to my home life, whatever it is that you feel is a little bit out of kilter at the moment? And planning and bringing some strategies into that quadrant will really start to impact all the rest of your lives, because other elements like quadrant 3 and quadrant 4, you know, while we can work there, we don't maybe in quadrant 3, particularly when it's not, it might be urgent, like responding to an email, but maybe we don't get a great sense of satisfaction from it. And equally quadrant 4, it can be busy work, but again, it doesn't really give us a great sense of satisfaction, and maybe it isn't valued hugely by others either. And when we're looking at maybe promotion or moving forward, or, you know, contentment in the family, you know, we're not going to see that as much. So really we're trying to stay up in quadrant 1 and 2, but moving our shift more towards really starting to take control of our actions, rather than just constantly responding to requests and crisis kind of situations, which again, I think a lot of us have found ourselves with in the last year. So I'm going to set you a challenge here today. So if we could go to the next slide, Liz, please. I want you, and coaching is all about bringing awareness around how we're spending our time and how we're spending where we're putting our priorities. I'm going to set you a challenge. You've given up your half an hour here today, so we all want you to take something from it. So one thing I would like you to do is tomorrow morning at the start of the day, I want you to set yourself 3 priorities. I don't mind what they are. They can be work, they can be home, they can be a blend and a mixture, but 3 things that you want to achieve tomorrow. And before you open an email, before you turn on your computer, before you get even out of bed and start the day, whatever that day looks like for you, give yourself 15 minutes to plan those 3 priorities, maybe 5 minutes each. How are you going to approach them? How much time are they going to take? What energy level are you going to take? Do you work better in the morning or the afternoon on each task? Which one would be better to do first? Really give yourself that 15 minutes, and you deserve it. Give it to yourself to take time over those priorities. Don't get distracted. There will always be emails, there will always be texts, there will always be COVID updates. Just try and move away and just give yourself that time. Write it down, and that's another thing you learn from coaching. We're always accountable in our coaching. So write it down, give yourself that challenge, and be accountable to yourself. And then check in at the end of the day, seeing how it's going. And did you achieve it? At the end of the day, go to your 3 things. Did you achieve them? If you did, how does it feel? Are you happy, content? Has it helped you move maybe to a little bit more away from the crisis management into more control and balance in your work day or your home life? And then if not, that's okay too. Why not? What was the barrier? And again, coaching is a great opportunity to help you deal with these barriers, and recognizing maybe what could I do differently tomorrow to help me achieve my 3 priorities. So please set yourself that little task and challenge, and see if that might help you to work a little bit more effectively in your home life, in your work life, and prioritize things a little bit better, so you're bringing more control and balance into your life. So there you go. That's my little P for you now today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derval. And now we'll hand over to Germanics.
Thanks, Lorraine, and welcome everyone. Thanks for making the time to come to this presentation, and look, it's a privilege to be here to facilitate and to speak about coaching and the difference it can make. So obviously you're all, like, I would encourage you all to have a pen and paper here. I'm going to take you through a visual and theory-based presentation on coaching. So anything that comes to mind as you're going through this, or I'm calling out the slides, note it down and journal it and see, you know, take the learnings and see, is coaching for you? I know it definitely is for me. So like life at the moment in the last year, I suppose for everyone has been a roller coaster. So there's been ups and downs and ins and outs, but coaching is very beneficial here. And I think this kind of sums it up for me, I suppose, that when a coachee comes to a coach, they can come and talk to them about the way that the order of events that happen in their life and a story. And basically, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and all the imaginative text that appear for the coachee. The coach facilitates and hears the settings and looks at a transformative approach to look at the problems, the emotions that are presenting, and how that those problems can be solved by the actual person, the coachee, who's actually living in their own reality as time goes on. So there's big learning from coaching and going through this facilitation of kind of living the roller coaster, but learning your own narratives and going through the process. So this, I think, showcases how we go up a bit of a slope and then we go to the top and we come down again. But it's through doing this process in a coaching context that can actually make your life a lot smoother and less daunting. So if we move on to the next slide, please. Thanks a million. Yeah. So like, I suppose this is kind of, I think this is a fantastic way of summarizing coaching. And I suppose we're continuously evolving and changing. So this is the change process curve. So coaching for me, it combines a person looking at their own performance in their own personal life or work life or social life, and in terms of relationships, the resistance that they might be experiencing and that they bring to the coach. So that's what we'd be facilitating, and the time that they're putting into certain goals. So if you look at the actual the resistant change curve there, you can see the old status quo was probably us all being on campus, looking in the context. And then when we came to COVID, there was a foreign element that appeared for us all, and there was a resistance to change and a chaos that came. And if you see the person at the bottom of the curve there, you can see the person's falling and reaching out. And I suppose coaching is kind of like us reaching back to you. So if you need to reach out for coaching, the facilitation that we bring is that we apply theory-based coaching psychology models for you, and the ideas that you have then transform, and then you can integrate them into your life over setting goals and time, and then a new status emerges. So that's how coaching can benefit. On to the next slide, please. Liz, thanks. Roll it, Liz, as they say. Roll team. So this is one of the coaching models that I'm using at the moment for some of my clients. And I'm very, like, I have a big sporting background, I'm into physical activity. So this model is by Merle Nahulson, and it looks at the sprint model. So it's all about your life and the roller coaster team, again, about how do you deal with barriers and pace in life and challenges that come your way. So when you go through the process, the coach, being myself, would apply these different models using a letter on each context for the model. So as we go through now, Liz, if you don't mind moving on, I'll show you how it's applied. So when you're in the coaching conversation, the conversation would focus on, the coach would look at and ask the coachee to look at their journey to observe their current behaviours. So the coach will ask also about recognising patterns of life. That's the coaching process brings in this, and then see where the gaps are for the person, the context of what they're looking to improve on their life. And then obviously it's about exploring what needs to be put in place. So the first part of this model is about that self-awareness piece and looking at your life and how you live it. The next part is the progress. So like within that, there's eagerness to learn has to be there from the coachee, and to obviously practice through learning and setting goals at the end of each session to kind of focus on practical ways of completing what you need to do. So within this learning, coaching can bring a new confidence and willingness to change from the coachee. The next part, please. That's P. So this is the key part here. This is where the real learning is. So like as you're going through the conversations and you're having your coaching sessions, they will be learning for the coach and the coachee about the natural experience to have a setback during the process in terms of follow your goals. And obviously those dips and the reflections will come back to the coaching conversation. And obviously it's like we find in coaching that people find it easier to put their energy and interest into being in the comfort zone, but actually what coaching will do is give you new tools and approaches to actually deal with the resistance to change and find out ways to actually get your goals in a beneficial way. So the resistance as well, look, like the coaching, it can be used as a powerful tool for the learning to occur. So that's the key part here, the resistance, to find out what way you live and moving on into the insights. So like after the resistance happens and you see the way you act within your own life, you can see that there's new insights gained and new self-awareness. So like these, by going through that resistance, actually the best, most powerful insights in the way you live your life and what you need to do actually come to the fore. And then the resistance ensures that you can have the immediate insights and practical tools and goals to move forward. So we're nearly there now. So the last part of the sprint is the NT, so the new track. So after going through this process, the coachee, after setting goals, should find new ways to learn ways of dealing with a situation, a stronger focus on goals, and the goals may take a different direction. And it could take a few cycles to go through the model and reevaluate. But I suppose the new tracks that and goals that are appear can get you to the same place, but it might be the direction you might have thought it might have been. So I suppose what I've done there in this model is kind of showcased how coaching can really benefit and be applied to a coachee, and within the life as a roller coaster that we're living. I think it's very, very relevant. So hopefully now that's brought a nice picture to you, and I wish you all well and hope that you will consider embracing coaching in the future. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Ger. Now, I don't know, has Noreen appeared yet? I don't think so. So I didn't expect. Sorry?
Do you want me to take it, Lorraine? Are you happy to go?
Well, you can take it if you wish. Yeah, you take it.
Thanks,
one of the things that we've all discovered, which is a really useful tool with coaching, is the wheel of life. And it's a really nice tool that coaching brings us in terms of maybe thinking about, what's going well, what maybe you'd like to concentrate a little bit more on. It can often be the introductory session that we would have with you if you come to coaching. So, it's about what's shaping your life. How are you spending your time? Liz, if you could go to the next slide, there's an example of it here. And so it's a tool that we ask the coachee to prioritize in terms of how they're spending their time in relation to, they can pick any category they want. As you can see from the tool there's some suggestions around career, friends and family, significant others, health, money, personal growth, whatever it is. And again, we'd encourage the coachee to really explore what areas that they want to identify in terms of their priorities. And then we'd work down on that and we'd start to scale it and ask the coachee to really start to think about a little bit more detail there about, how are they spending their time? Because sometimes, and again, this is one of the lovely things about coaching, it's just bringing awareness around us. We're so busy in our lives that we don't often stop and think about how we spend our time. And this wheel of life, it's a really simple tool, but it's very effective. It can show us, like, for example, fun what? We might imagine that fun and recreation is a very important part of our life. But then when we actually start to think, how much time do I give that during the day or during the week? We might score quite lowly. And that can be a very stark reminder to us that maybe we're not prioritizing the things that we often claim to be important to us. And maybe it's about rebalancing, as Noreen very nicely said, about in terms of how we spend our time and how we spend our lives. So working with a coachee on something like the wheel of life can be a very nice first session that if you feel, you've come along today and you think coaching might be something of interest to you, then the wheel of life is a lovely place that we can start. And if not, it's something you could start to work on your own as well and start to think and see, gosh, am I in balance? Am I spending all my time in the places I like? Or is one area completely out of balance? For a lot of us, it might be the work side that's taking up a lot of time and then, taking away from the other parts of our life that we might like to bring a bit more balance to. Equally, maybe health for a lot of us mightn't be where we'd like it to be. And again, quite easy way to start to see that in a visual way, brings a bit of awareness to us, and then it's something to work towards in terms of setting goals, setting targets that you might like to achieve moving forward in coaching sessions, if that's what you'd like. So it's just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea about some of the nice tools and techniques that coaching can bring you.
Back to you there, Lorraine.
Okay, thank you. Now, I hope you got something out of that. It's just a small flavour of what we put out to our staff in UCC about how coaching can help them, but it's universal. It can be for anybody in the community, in UCC, wherever you are. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague who was a big part of putting this whole thing together, Noreen Didi. And just before I do, I just want to thank her. I want to thank Ciara O'Halloran from the Community Week in UCC, who was involved in putting it all together, and also Liz, who looked after the Zoom call today and the technical side of things. So thanks to my colleagues for that. So Noreen, I'll leave it to you to wrap up with everybody. And thank you for joining.
Thanks very much, Lorraine. Well, you've said everything at this stage, Lorraine, so thank you. I suppose the only thing to say is that the internal coaching panel in UCC, we are registered professionals, and we would be delighted to offer free coaching sessions to the first 21 people from the community who sign up. And each person, as Lorraine has already said, will receive 3 coaching sessions each. And the sign-up form, Liz will put it in the chat, but also the sign-up form will be on the website. So if you go back into the website, you'll see the sign-up form there. It mightn't appear immediately. Kira will put it up and it might take 2 hours before you'll be able to see it. But please go back into the website and sign up for coaching if you are interested. And it mightn't be, you know, this week or next week, but it might be the week after. And I'd also encourage you to share the link with, you know, maybe members of your family, your friends, and other members of the community as well. They may not have made it this morning due to other commitments. So please share the link with others. And on the form, we ask you what type of coaching that you'd like to engage in so that we can identify the coach that would be most suitable to engage with you. So you may be interested in career development or career transition, in motivation and focus, work-life balance issues, or project and change management. Whatever area you're interested in, we will identify a coach for you. And that's why we're asking you that question. It takes literally 1 minute to complete the form. So again, like Lorraine said, I'd like to thank Kira O'Halloran for supporting the coaching panel in delivering this session today, and to Liz Ahern and to Lorraine for participating, and to the other members of the coaching panel. There are a few here as well this morning, and I'm delighted that you did make it, and to yourself, to members of the community, for attending. So thank you very much, and we look forward to supporting you in whatever area we can. Thank you.